I love all the Shrek movies for what they do. But one thing I love about this franchise is that this Shrek universe is not afraid to just go full-blown fantasy on us. Like, I love getting lost in universes that are nothing like ours. Right here, it can give you an example and explain some properties about how this world works. It's a world that has talking donkeys, things that we see in mythology like cyclopses, dragons that can mate with donkeys and get kids. Ogre is what Shrek is. That's a species that's in this universe. One of the many that I'm going to be analyzing today is Shrek himself. And this is basically concept art of ogre designs. Not only this, wizards or magic users exist in this world, like even the legendary Merlin from folklore. Cats that have a lot of sense to where they can even talk like Puss in Boots. Elves also exist. Humans also exist. Talking cookies. Mermaids exist. One can say all the Pixar characters or fairy tale creatures, entities exist in this universe, their own versions of them, of course. Like maybe the Little Mermaid actually exists in this universe. Pinocchio exists. Fairy godmothers, fairy tale creatures, you get a reward for capturing them. Pretty much all the legendary princesses exist. So right off gate, Shrek already has a physical strength advantage over just normal old humans just from his sheer size and his species that he is, of course. But how strong are we talking? I don't know how accurate this is, but in video games, they apparently say he's at least 450 pounds. And in this particular occasion, they say 8 foot. Take this with a grain of salt. This is how a normal sized human will look in comparison to him. He's at least over 6 feet, one could say. Apparently by this scan, he's 7 feet. I mean, just think about it. This dude wears alligator skin waistcoats. You would think somebody as big and bulky as Shrek wouldn't even be able to move, but you can see plenty of evidence in this movie that he can move quite good, even at this size, showing his strength, one can say, to be able to toss all this weight around. Occasions like this prove he's agile for his weight to be able to jump that high and move freely. Shrek is an ogre. He's an ogre, so he has some unique properties about being an ogre. And the fact, the way his universe is built, it kind of helps his fighting ability too, because one can say he has Toon Force because he cracked the mirror. Same when he roars. One can say this is partly gag and ogre. His passing gas can actually kill certain creatures. Fourth wall breaking, noticing us viewers. Can eat fish whole without cooking it. Fiona is a strong fighter and she can't really phase him in her human form. It's funny actually. There's a gap between humans and ogres. Shrek does some wrestling styled wrestling holds. Got this guy locked down. He can bring down trees with his sheer weight alone. So you know he's heavy. He has to weigh more than Donkey because Donkey flies backwards. I'm not necessarily saying Donkey from the Shrek movies is this large, but some donkeys can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. According to this website right here, donkeysanctuary.org, they talk about the weights here, for example. He seems to easily be able to pick up characters like Donkey. I mean, there's really no way to tell how heavy Donkey is, but the fact he can throw him in the air this easily is crazy. And it's consistent. Using chains, we've actually seen him lift Fiona when she was bulked up. He can do it without his chains, even though she's big too. Not as big as him, of course. He threw her way high in the air. Fiona isn't the lightest tool in the shed, especially in her ogre form. She can break through wood with her weight. And Shrek is constantly lifting her up with ease. It's little stuff like this nobody pays attention to he can lift up. This universe's technology is kind of trash, so when it comes to these carriages, you can see his strength to be able to move such things, and this is light work even though he was trapped. Like, you can see him holding it up to help fix it like that. He's strong enough to accidentally break doorknobs. He would accidentally rip steering wheels. When you can lift up heavy stuff like this, you just have to have the strength to hit hard too. When it comes to large gates, you can see him lift this type of stuff up with one arm. And this gate wasn't little. This big chunk of magic energy he helped push. Despite the size difference, he was still strong enough to do this. Sometimes it's hard to know his own strength. Can lift up talking wolves with one arm. They're light work. So with all this strength, have you ever wondered how hard he can actually hit? I mean, what do you expect? When you're strong enough to push large ships like this by accident, just by leaning on it, you know you got to be strong. Doors he can push open like this. Not only can he push this large ship, but you can get an idea of how hard he can hit. He threw this bottle so hard he messed up a big chunk of the ship. And did all of this to where they had to evacuate it? It's occasions like this of him throwing that bottle that hard imply that he could sink an entire ship with his punches. If he punched certain areas of it hard enough, he can have the whole thing sink. Just with his destructive power, that would mean same thing for certain houses or buildings he can tremble or even hit some so hard they can fall over and be useless. When he's restrained, we've seen him even overpower multiple witches at the same time while wearing all of this to break free. It's proof that he can use his size and weight to his advantage when it comes to walls. He can like literally a couple times, crack his way through it and bust through that way. Yes, this big junk he made, he definitely has this kind of power to break through a wall with his punches after seeing feats like this and that ship. Beings that have full-blown armor knights, it doesn't matter if he doesn't have armor, he can still overpower them with his strikes and hits and everything. That simple. The same goes for several pirates. They're not ready. It's just freaking consistent. And can you imagine Shrek with a blade? Cutting through armor is just easy. You see how everybody reacted? All ogres are different, of course, in size, but if he can do this, I'm pretty sure Shrek can do this when it comes to cracking the ground. With a blade, I think something like this, Shrek could easily chop up a big chunk of this mess and damage it severely. With blunt punches, even if this door right here didn't exist and he had to go through this way, he probably could still bust through it with his raw strength. What do you think? He can survive as much as he can take because he got hit with a tree and laughed it off, really. Him and Fiona just playing around with large trees and stuff of that such. Here we got more angles of how small humans look in comparison to Shrek. So one can say you can get an idea of how strong Shrek is or how hard he can punch by what humans can do. Because wouldn't you agree that whatever Fiona's mama can do when it comes to how hard she can punch and stuff like that, wouldn't you agree that Shrek can do better? She was able to headbutt through stone walls. Wouldn't you agree that Shrek should be able to do this as well if she can? She's a human, even though it made her a little dizzy. This further just backs up the fact that Shrek can definitely punch his way through brick walls like this. Like, he would literally do this to a brick wall with his hits if a human character can do that, even though it appears that humans in this universe are stronger than our real life humans as well. When it comes to writer intent, whatever Fiona can do in her ogre form, Shrek should be able to do similar. Like, this is clear writer intent. They're literally sparring. The size difference, it shows that they want her and him to be similar in strength or Shrek being stronger. All jokes aside, yeah, he can literally tremble houses. It's actually quite scary how fast Shrek is when it comes to his sprinting speed when you really analyze it. This dragon had trouble catching up to him. And he not only walked down Donkey in speed and just straight line speed, but caught him. If Donkey is anything like real life donkeys, that would mean donkeys should be able to at least go 30 to 35 miles per hour, which would even be faster than the fastest man in the world. When you look at the fastest beings in the world, that would mean Shrek will be even faster than the fastest man in the world, but not necessarily fast as a cheetah or something. Imagine somebody 500 plus pounds sprinting at you at this kind of speeds and then dive bombing at you or some crap. Yeah, so he should be pretty strong. I look at it like this. If Shrek was in DC Comics or Marvel Comics, he would definitely be stronger than real life humans, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's on the level of super soldiers of Marvel and DC Comics either when it comes to raw physicals, and he severely lacks fighting speed to even keep up with these beings. Marvel super soldiers can detect nanosecond pauses and crap, and can move out of the way of stuff in a millionth of a second or a microsecond. Billionth of a second is a nanosecond. Micro is a millionth of a second. And DC super soldiers can literally look at bullets and dodge them. Let me stop. I'm talking about bullets mid-flight. But yeah, you still should respect him even if he's not quite up there with the super soldiers of Marvel DC though. But yeah, before I get it going, everybody, you gotta respect Shrek. But thanks for the donations, everybody. Helps out a lot. Respect them. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.